Okay. Now
Dude,
you can.
that 98% went to like
So,
a 10.
We will.
Dude, were so
one day.
good.
One day we'll have a really good
I was
intro.
so proud. I was like, dude, you hit that like 98%.
Have you started the show? So that was completely just overbearing everything is what was going on.
We're funny.
Let's see.
We're funny, dude.
That is hilarious.
Adelita's going to be like, thumbs up.
So much for cutting out the Spanish flea.
Yeah, I know.
Dang, dude. Hey, we'll just cut out the entire first part of the show.
Okay, I'm going to get, well, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I guess the music was playing in the background.
Dude, I started kind of freaking out, though, because I was like, wait, is there some weird shit going on the spiritual side? Because we are talking about EVPs tonight.
It's because you got me at the helm is what it is.
Yeah, I love having you at the helm, man. It's always interesting, always fun.
Caden and I are watching, says James.
What's up, James?
Anderson.
Good.
That's
I gave a little shout out earlier.
I haven't seen that name around.
He watches every show, man.
He watches every
Loyal.
show, but he
Loyal.
just doesn't get in the chat room?
No. I guess he is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you guys something because I just remembered it.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I haven't done a ghost investigation in
7 years.
probably,
9 years.
13, probably 8 years.
Okay.
And you guys know why, and if you don't, then go watch the Halloween special that we did. Because
I know why.
Because I got attacked by a spirit, and I had a spirit that was pretty evil that lingered around my house for
I didn't
years.
mean to laugh. I'm sorry.
Pam's boss is wanting us to do a ghost hunt at a nursing home.
No, it is not a nursing home.
Oh, what is it? Will you explain it then, Pam?
It is an assisted living memory care
Same
facility.
Same thing as a nursing home, guys.
No, it's not.
Are there old people there?
And young.
Are there beds?
Yes.
Do you guys give them medication and give them showers?
Yes.
It's a nursing home. Anyway,
so I mean, what did I say when you texted me and you're like, should we do it?
Yeah, I'm.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Garrett wants to do it. I'm hesitant. And we could do it live for you guys. We could run a camera live there, bring our equipment.
The boss says you're fired.
Yeah,
Never mind.
you're fired. Never mind.
He withdraws the offer.
Okay, good because
Just say it's an assisted living community.
It's an assisted living community, wonderfully ran by the great Scott Slimp.
Dude, I'm down for it.
No, I
get it though. Why?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't want to invite anything that's going to follow me home again. But okay, he just says we don't take government money. Okay, then you're not. You're right. You're right. Yeah. It's privately funded.
Touche.
I'm sorry, Scott. Hell, I didn't know you were watching.
God.
So, if you guys are interested in me and Garrett doing a live ghost hunt. They have some activity, I know, especially in the kitchen when I talked to one of their employees there. And then we could do a hallway, I guess.
So they have, obviously that's why they reached out, but.
Yeah. There's residents in there, so I don't know how because we kind of have to speak loud. Is there any spirit? We have to say that.
We'll sort it out.
So work around that.
We'll work around it. So
what are they hearing? What's happening?
Scott, give every one of them like a ton of Xanax before they go to bed. Right.
So what's happening?
One-time order for.
What do we?
Scott's talked about it a little bit when we went on camping trips with him, and
a lot of video.
Yeah, one of the kitchen staff has talked about it. They do have some activity there. It'd be fun. I mean, like I said, I thought about it for about 3 or 4 days, and I thought, okay, if I say the prayers and we bring some sage home and try to explain to Pam's dad what the hell we're doing, he'll think it's a big joint or something. So about that, and it smells like pot, kind of. Yeah. I'll do it. If you guys, like I said, so you guys out there listening, how many of you want us to put number 1? Just put a 1 in the chat box if you want us to do a live ghost hunt for you guys, and then we'll do it.
Well, I think it goes to the point, like the fact that you had to wait 3 or 4 days to think about it.
I did. Like the other night, I woke up with scratches on my legs again, and they're not like I would show them to you. Yeah, I took a picture of it. I'll maybe show it on the next slide, but they're pretty evil, wicked. Of course, Pam put a bunch of ones. We got Mel. We've seen a sugar container go flying. Yeah, they have. A sugar container went flying off a microwave.
Okay.
Scott says one. Pam says one. But those, you guys are kind of all of the ghost family here. So
I put a 1.
So Alita, come on, you guys. Do you want to see it or not? I want to know.
I'm all jumpy tonight, dude, because of this episode. Like the cat just made a noise and it just freaked me out.
Lots of shadows. There's a full spectrum night vision camera I've got my eye on that I'm sure Pam will buy for me.
Of course.
I'm a sugar mama.
She's my sugar mama.
I'll throw in.
It's actually not that.
Dude, I'll throw in.
It's only like 100.
Sure.
It's about $189.
Done.
Which isn't that bad.
Yeah, let's go.
But it'd be awesome so that we can do night vision.
Would you take the spirit box? Would you dust it off? Ooh.
No, I'd bring the spirit box because that's one of the things you need. And of course, we'll have 2 K2 meters. We'll have that. I'd like to get a REM pod. A REM pod basically is this. It's about this big around, and you set it in an area, and if it picks up any type of electromagnetic activity, it'll go off. So you can actually, well, I don't want to say play with the spirits, but you can ask them, hey, move over to the REM pod and let us know you're here.
So just a little bit more verification.
It's more verification. Yeah. So Scott, we'll have you to pay for the camera.
Yeah, go ahead and take care of that.
So Scott will pay for the camera. We'll all do it.
We'll text you the address you need to have it sent to.
But we got Randy's wanting 1. James Anderson says 1. Pam, you don't count because there's like 15 Pam put in.
Hey,
Do I count?
Hey, did you read what he just put?
No.
Apparently, and I think this is pre-Pam.
Okay.
At the community, we had a lady that lived with us who was a Satanist.
Okay,
Jeez,
done.
man.
Not doing it. Not doing it.
Why?
Not doing it.
Scott, you're not helping the case, man.
No, we can do it.
Yeah.
We just have to take.
Hey, I think we're all in a different place too now than when we were like the first time.
Right.
Like even spiritually, and
Yeah, and like I said
times
before,
are crazy.
You can't go into it willy nilly. You got to be really careful because things follow people home all the time. And
I witnessed
we're in a brand new home, and I don't want anything happening.
You know what though, my faith in my self-protection and preservation of my home and my family is bigger than
You're always cool as a
some
cucumber.
crazy old lady in memory care who thinks she's a Satanist.
I did it.
Well, I wouldn't be.
I did it.
Oh God,
Pam,
Garrett!
I'm a Bigfoot, man.
Good
I'm a
Lord.
Sasquatch.
You are.
I can't help it. I
You
break
are.
everything. No, Pam's always been cool as a cucumber, though.
Okay, so and yeah, Scott, you're not helping my case. She just put, and she worshiped the devil.
Awesome.
Make it more. Now, Scott, has she passed on? I guess is that the case? I don't really want to contact her spirit. I want to contact the nice ones.
Yes, please. So, how old is this place?
It's
Has it been around for a while, or
How old?
Well, I want to say the building's like around 20 years old.
okay?
And
if
Pam
Scott-
took care of her on hospice. It says.
No, I did.
Yep. Apparently. Maybe you just didn't know.
Maybe I didn't.
Okay, so great. So we have. God, is she?
If I took care of her on hospice, I didn't bring anything home.
Yeah. See.
Yeah,
So-
but you weren't asking for anything and for anything to manifest. And if she did rituals there, Scott,
2010.
that's bad. That's
Oh,
bad.
that's been old. Oh, it was built in 2010.
Oh, it was built in 2010. God,
I mean, that doesn't matter though. Like,
Scott, for the dramatic effect, you should have said 1810,
yeah.
something like that. So
Oh no, that's not quite that old.
okay,
doesn't
but you know
matter.
what? We'll do it. We'll do it. I'm not afraid of no
I'm
ghosts.
not scared at all. I'll be
Scared
fine.
of
No,
no
I think it'll be
ghosts?
fun.
Dude, I'm gonna freak out while I'm there.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Hey, that's what's crazy about our experience back in 2010, 11, 12. Those experiences though, is that like I just didn't care.
Now,
I
yeah.
was like,
Alita, you say I am. Does that mean you're a Satanist? Is that what you're saying? Or I am what? What are you, Alita? Well, it's built on a Indian burial ground.
he's kidding. That's a joke.
No.
Scott, get out of here. With
Hey,
that.
we're in Oklahoma. Everything's built on an Indian burial ground. And this house is on an Indian burial
The
ground.
entire state.
I mean, the Chisholm
is-
The
Trail.
entire state.
You're literally right off the Chisholm Trail.
I know.
I could kick a soccer ball and hit the Chisholm Trail right now.
Yeah, I was going to say the Chisholm Trail is pretty much the entire
Yeah.
width and length of the state of Oklahoma.
So again, Lita, I am interested. Are you saying you're a Satanist?
Scott's joking, thank God.
Okay.
God.
Well, hey, no, I guarantee you, there's
yeah,
bodies,
for sure.
Indian bodies under anything that's built in
Yeah.
Oklahoma. Oh, she said.
She's a one. She
One.
wants us to do it, yeah.
That's what she's saying.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad you're not a Satanist. Although they say most Satanists, it's not that they actually worship Satan. It's just do as I will, what I want, without regret.
Yeah, do what they will.
Yeah, do what they so, and they basically just whether it's immoral or not, they do it. And I've heard some Satanists say it's not like we go and worship Satan. We
Right.
it's a personal belief that we take, that it's a Satanist belief that they
pick something
do
else.
whatever the hell you want to and don't worry about it,
Right.
whether it hurts anybody or not.
I mean, that's still evil, right?
It's a very
selfish way.
selfish. It's all about you.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, I do have selfish tendencies. That I do believe that if you take care of yourself, you'll be better for other people. But
Yeah.
not at the
Yeah.
expense of somebody else.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Absolutely. Okay, so we should get into it. It's almost 30 minutes. We've been
We're
sitting
gonna
here.
get into this creepy ass episode. We're about
So
to
we
do.
we know the
Excuse me.
when they analyze our
yeah,
watch time
Yeah.
is about 26 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're not even seeing the show. They're just watching the beginning. They're like,
They're
yeah, this is
about it.
boring. So I don't know. But they can skip forward, right?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about EVPs. That's electronic voice phenomena. This was,
Hey, Mel just said, "What you guys talking about?" Well, we're about to get into the EVPs.
oh, imagine that.
Yeah, and Mel's getting on her ass about something.
Mel's already on us for something. But no, EVPs is something that's been going on since the time of recorded tape.
Right.
And I think it even goes back to, I think Alexander Graham Bell. I know he's not the tape machine guy, but I think he had experience with
Edison.
electronic. Yeah, Edison.
Yep.
That's who I'm talking about. Electronic problems, having voices come through. And then we're going to talk about, before I guess we get started, we're going to talk about this little device here. It was a recorder. Nope, that's the Bigfoot right there. Let's go over. All right, this was a Panasonic DR60 recorder. It was made in the 90s. And people started taking them back. And can you guess why, Garrett?
Because they were hearing voices on there.
Yes, they would take them to college and they'd be recording their professor, and voices would start coming through. And these people weren't thinking ghosts. They were just
Right.
thinking,
Well,
something's
who would?
wrong with
Right,
this thing. And also it had a flaw where it recorded the internal electronics of it. So everybody's like, hey, there's voices coming on these. They're taking them back. So Panasonic said, well, we're not going to make this anymore because we're getting too many returns. Well, it turns out this is probably the best EVP recorder ever made. And now you have every major ghost hunters like Zach, Jason Hawes, all those guys use these. And they sold for between $40 and $50
In the 90s.
in the 90s. And I found one on eBay, and I'm going to move that slide over for you. And that's what they cost now. And I've seen them go for higher than that.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah, that one right there is going for $2,099. I've seen some go for $2,500. And they are pretty incredible. It's like you push, you can push a button and just sit there, and all of a sudden you hear, and the creepy thing, every voice that comes through that Panasonic though is just like, it's really evil sounding.
Yeah.
But they work. I don't know why, like we were talking about earlier,
Right.
ITC, who makes a lot of the ghost stuff,
Doesn't
has not,
replicate it?
yeah, just copy the circuitry. Panasonic may have some type of trademark on
Right,
that
some
circuitry.
patent, yeah.
It could be a patent, but you could change maybe one resistor or something
Yeah.
like that, and you could sell them all day long if you sold them for like $200.
Dude, I would buy one.
But yeah, I would too. But for $2,500 and $2,000, that they're all going like that. So every once in a while, like if I see a garage sale, I'll stop and kind of
Just
run
to
up.
check it out.
Yeah, because I've heard guys saying they found found them just in mint condition at
I'm sure.
garage sales.
Right.
Sometimes they end up at pawn shops, and the pawn shop guys don't
I
know
have no idea.
what they are, so they're selling for $5.
Right, of course.
You know, so the last one, God, I saw one guy pay $3,000 for one.
God bless, man.
Yeah, it's just insane. But basically, you can use a good tape recorder and catch stuff. But for some reason, this thing seems to be a magnet for that kind of thing. So anyway,
Which is bizarre.
Do what?
It's just bizarre.
It is.
Well, and it makes sense too that you would take it back. Like I wouldn't automatically assume like, hey, this little device I just picked up this rudimentary device is picking up spirits.
Yeah, because I kind of back in the day, even when I was, kind of looked for haunted stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I never thought about the EVP thing really. I mean, and that to me, I didn't really even know about that till the 2000s, I guess, when everybody was doing it, and then that's when I started doing it. But
so when did you get your spirit box?
Now the spirit box, that's different. So let's talk about that real quick.
Okay.
A spirit box basically picks up on the EVP, you don't hear it. Like when you say, "Is there anybody here? How old are you?" You don't hear a response until you go back and listen, right? But if you use a ghost box, it comes through loud and clear.
Okay.
So you can hear it right there, and you can have a conversation. Which I guess if we do that, that's the thing that scared me the most, and where I got into trouble the most.
I know, that's why. Yeah.
But we, if we do a ghost hunt, we got to use it. So.
Have you ever used it again?
No.
Do you know where it's at?
I haven't. Yeah. It's underground about 6 feet.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like you buried it away.
No. I still have it. It's in fact, I boxed it up when we were moving.
So is that what you were messing with, like when me and Cass would
Yes.
come into the room?
Yes.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing I was messing with.
That was the spirit box, the ghost box.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's kind of what I blamed but now I know. Don't just ask for any spirits, but at the same time, like you got some spirits. Like if you just ask for, I want spirits from the light, then a lot of times you get no activity, and it's almost like
You have to.
the ornery ones are the one that want to talk.
I feel like I would be a talkative, ornery little spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely find
You
my way
probably
into
would
some
be.
EVPs.
So, anyway, let's get into it. So, we're gonna play this first one. This is probably my favorite EVP, and we're gonna play my EVPs as well. I had a guest that was supposed to be on today. He never got back with me. He sent me 3 EVPs. That guy is so busy, he may not have time. So I'm looking. Yeah, he never got back. I sent him a thing about sending me his phone number again, and that's okay. We'll play his EVPs. We got his permission. So, all right. Well, this one is, if you guys remember the great Kathy Nance.
Oh man, I love Kathy.
With Woodlands Paranormal, and she's with OKPRI. And she's the one that came to my house and caught some EVPs, which we're going to play those EVPs tonight for you, that she picked up. But this is when they did. This was in Hennessy, Oklahoma, at an Oklahoma business. And let's see see if you can hear this. This show, you guys might want to pull out your headphones, because some of them some of them I amplified and some I didn't. But I'll play this first, and you see if you can figure out what it's saying. And it just takes a second here.
Are you in this room right? Oh my God, dude. What the fuck is that? What was that, dude?
No bad language.
Sorry, Art. So there was a cuss in that. So I don't know. You guys put in the chat room. I don't have the chat pulled up. If you could hear those okay. If I need to turn them up, let me know. But that one was, I don't know if you remember back in the 20s, there was a song called, I don't know what it's called, but it went,
Ragtime gal.
hello, my darling, hello, my baby, hello, my ragtime gal. One of those old kind of things. And that's what the spirit was saying. It was basically singing the lyrics to that. So I'm going to play it again.
Please.
I'll put the volume up a little bit, but this is my favorite one because this is obviously a jovial spirit.
Well, you call this a Class A?
This is a Class A because you can really hear.
And explain what a Class A is.
Yeah. And even Pam's real critical about EVPs, but you could hear that pretty clearly, right?
Yeah, it was crystal.
Are you in this room right? Oh my God, dude. What the fuck is that? What was that, dude?
Yeah. Hey, I think it's important though because I was always saying that how skeptical I was before I had my experiences with you guys. Like if I would have never had that experience and then heard that without knowing Kathy, I'd be like, okay, that's obviously fake. Like you can replicate it. But dude, we spent hours talking to Kathy. Kathy. She came to the house. Like,
Oh, she's very reputable. I mean, and look,
super reputable. And that was a great interview.
Here's the deal, because I've done that myself. I've caught voices, so I know they're real.
I know.
I mean, they go around and try to help people. So what would be the point,
absolutely.
and faking it and going, oh, I picked this up at your
it's
house.
not like making money off of it or anything. Like,
I don't know any paranormal investigator that charges anybody anything.
Right.
So they're not going to go waste their time just faking a bunch of stuff.
well, even on her episode or her interview we did with her, she's like, yeah, 90% of the time we're just sitting there.
Yeah, and that's true. A lot of and guys, there's a chance that we may go to the nursing home and not catch anything as just part of it. A lot of times you're just sitting around for hours and nothing's happening. But I mean, hopefully we'll get something.
But that's to the point though that like that knowing Kathy, having spoken with her for hours, that makes that so much more interesting. Honestly.
Yeah, it does.
If that was just willy-nilly something you found on the internet, I'd be like, okay, that's not real. But knowing Kathy.
Well, I mean, what do the others I'm going to play, do you believe them? Come on now.
No, I mean, let's listen to them. Let's listen to them and talk about it in real time.
Okay, so the second one I'm going to play for you came from Waverly Hills. That was a place that mainly had tuberculosis patients. It's very haunted. You can haunt it for $1,000 for 8 hours, I think.
You can investigate.
Investigate, yeah,
Okay.
not haunt it. You can investigate. They did have a special, and I would have signed us up for it if I knew about it. If I knew about it earlier, $100, 8 hours. Yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah,
because they charge a lot of money to go out there, but it's a huge place. I mean, you got to have a lot of people on your team to do a good job there.
Right, for sure.
Okay, so this one is pretty cool. This is, should I tell them what it's saying?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so this was inside Waverly Hills. Okay, you got to listen close. Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, what it's saying is calling Dr. Marcus. So it's like a nurse paging overhead for Dr. Marcus now. And I tried to do research to see if there's actually a Dr. Marcus there.
Right.
And I can't find any list.
Okay, so where'd you get this?
This was from
Waverly, though?
Waverly Hills,
Okay.
and it's the PIST Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
So if you spell that out, pissed ghost.
yeah.
So let's play it again. So what it's saying is calling Dr. Marcus. You have to listen because the EVP starts immediately.
Hear it.
Paging Dr. Marcus. Dr. Marcus, we need you.
Oh, my God. So that's an EVP. Somebody
Right.
caught.
Right. And
So when they're recording this, they're hearing it in real time.
no,
That's what
not necessarily.
Okay.
On the EVPs, a lot of times you won't hear anything until you go back and you look at the evidence.
Okay.
Now, if it was the spirit box, it would
That's where it would be real.
right. But a spirit box isn't going to have a voice like that.
It's going to be jumbled.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, it's just taking words from what it can capture off
Right,
of someone
right.
talking and using that the voice for that. Okay, this is another Kathy one. This has some cussing in it.
Kathy's so awesome.
This one must have been the ghost of Spicoli from Fast Times. It says, "Wow, shit, nothing but wow." So
Okay.
we're gonna hear that one.
Wait, play it again.
What? Okay, I'll play it again.
Somebody was excited to get through, huh?
Yeah, he was absolutely.
You would be, though, wouldn't you?
Okay, so that was
Fascinating.
Yeah, let's see that one.
I hear Christopher Walken. I don't know.
Yeah, it does sound like Christopher Walken. This was in a residential house in Jinx, Oklahoma. So, and I talked to Kathy and got her permission to play these, but I just wanted her to, that's Woodlands Paranormal. I want to give her all the credit for her group.
So I wonder if were you able to ask her, like, were they able to do some investigating and figure out who that might be? Did they ask family?
No, I did. Kathy's so busy, and
I know, yeah.
I didn't want to bother her, but I should have probably took some time trying to get a hold of her and talk to her about,
She is super
hey,
busy,
who do
though.
you think this was?
Right, yeah.
But the funny thing is, it's in a house. It's
Right,
not like
yeah.
in a business or anything like
Yeah.
that. So,
So do you think that the spirits are just drawn because we've heard the street light metaphor quite a bit, like that a spirit will see, like if Kathy or somebody like that's in the location.
yeah, they say that some people like it looks like a light to them. If they're an earthbound spirit, they want to be heard. They say something.
like a bug attracted.
Yeah,
to it,
and you can tell there are some people who they're just jovial spirits who they don't
Right.
care that they're still hanging around.
Right, for sure.
Then you have the ones that say, "Help me," who need help finding the light is what it sounds
Right,
like. Let me
yep.
see what I got. I got something here. Okay, never mind. I thought maybe
Mona's got goosebumps.
Mona's got goosebumps. Well, you should, Mona. Those are scary.
Yep.
All right, this next one, I could not find the author of it, so I apologize, whoever EVP I stole from you.
Haha, gotcha.
But it says "Get Out," and this was amplified. So when people listen to these, like some of these will amplify because
Right.
it's a whisper. So then I don't want people going, "Oh, well, I can tell he just inserted it in because
Right,
it's not
right,
it's not
right.
matching the volume." Well, no,
Right.
it's not. It's because you wouldn't be able to hear it otherwise.
Right.
But this one says "Get Out." You hear that?
Yeah, was there a groan at the beginning?
Yeah, I thought I heard that too. Let's go back. Let's play it again. It sounded like there was like a almost a
Which you've gotten before.
was yeah. I've got. We'll play mine in a minute. Right there. That almost sounds like from the Amityville Horror movie. Remember?
Wow.
Get Out.
Yeah.
But there's, I mean, and that's one thing that's a most probably popular saying that most spirits have is get out. They want
So-
you, but a lot of times I think if they,
Or do they want to get out?
no, I think they want you out
Okay.
because I think sometimes when someone's like, if they're attached to a home they loved,
Okay.
they don't want a family coming in and putting up their own stuff. And it makes,
Okay, I can see that.
it's,
Yeah.
it's our spot. And
Right.
probably in their realm, whatever realm they are, it's like me looking at you,
Right.
and these people are walking through my house
And
like,
you can't
hey,
do anything about it.
and you can't do anything about it,
Or
until
can you?
they're gonna have to discover, hey, you're
Right.
dead, and you need to move on.
Right. Get out.
Get out.
Yeah, and the other one was interesting with the groan, though.
What's that?
The groan that you hear.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody's getting punched in the stomach.
Well, yeah, or he's just
in
like,
pain.
like he's like, "Ugh, get out.
Yeah, or that could be it. Yeah.
yeah. So-
Frustrated.
right. All right. So the next one we're playing this was in Louisiana. It was called the Village Salon, and it was built in the 20s. So who
Okay.
knows what this place was before? Now this one says, "I'm not crazy."
I'm not crazy.
Here we go.
Found it over. I'm not crazy. But different people have different stages of
And it plays again, I think slow. Which makes it even eerier.
filming. Found it over. I'm not crazy. But
Did she tell him I'm not crazy? It kind of sounded like she said, "Tell him I'm not crazy."
Let's go back. Because, this could have been an old hospital at one time.
filming. Found it over. I'm not crazy.
Pam, what are you hearing?
Tell them I'm not crazy.
Tell them I'm not crazy. So this could have been, this salon could have at one time been maybe a mental institution. Who knows?
Well, there's no telling how these spirits come to these locations, really, even. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's
Like
true.
somebody could have brought it in on accident, or
They can move. They can probably go
Yeah.
anywhere they want.
right, for sure.
But
And
usually,
they want to be heard, right? And
they-
so,
yeah.
tell them I'm not crazy.
yeah. So maybe they hung around and they're spying on people who knew them at one time. and
maybe
going,
the
that
people-
girl was crazy.
Well, maybe the people that are in there are like, man, this ghost is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, trying to float. Tell them I'm not crazy. I'm
not crazy.
I'm just trying to get through. Well, it almost sounds like she's pleading. I don't see that as like a malevolent, like that one.
Yeah.
Specifically, it almost seems like somebody that's like pleading, like, tell them I'm not crazy. Please,
Yeah,
please.
I think from the majority of them, I don't think are demonic or anything.
Right.
I think it's just the ones that break my heart are the people that says, "Help me,"
know.
help me. Like I'd hate to think when we die, we're stuck in this realm, and you can't get out.
Well, absolutely.
But-
Well, hey, Pamela had that look like she's got something she needs to say.
I was just thinking that, you know, feminine sounding voice,
Right.
obviously.
Definitely.
And, you know, it wasn't uncommon, unheard of for women to get institutionalized
For
for
sure.
hysteria, you know, for whatever reason, to get them out of the way, whether they were, you know, women's livers or
Right.
lesbians.
Or some guy going, "My wife's annoying me. I think she's
Exactly.
crazy. Get her out of
Well,
here."
we know it's
Exactly.
postpartum even,
Yeah,
like, stuff like that,
exactly.
right,
You
yeah,
know, all
for sure.
you know, anything that was out of
Character. What
society's
a woman should
normal
be, right.
role for a female, then yeah, you know, women got institutionalized hand over fist.
Man,
all
it
the
was
time for
it
things
was
like
a
that.
whole different world. I mean, it just like even if you had a baby that was deformed or had some type of physical disability or mental disability, people put them away. They were ashamed.
Lack of understanding.
They were
too.
they were ashamed to think, "Oh my God,
Right.
my son is nuts," or "My
Right.
son," you know. So they put him in homes and they put
Yeah.
him away, and which is horribly sad. But so shall
Well,
we?
maybe that's compounding, and the reason why some of these spirits feel like they are inside of this bubble that they can't get out of, right?
Yeah,
Is it because they were told they were crazy this whole time, and now they
and
can
that's
feel this-
yeah,
right?
yeah, great point.
Man,
so
that's-
absolutely.
That one I've never heard that. That was a really good one.
Yeah, so I mean, you can really hear that, you know, it's a different voice than the investigators.
Right? Yeah.
Most of all of them are. Okay, so this next one, this is kind of creepy. This was called the Emlyn Physic Estate, and I don't know if the physic means physics or their last name was Physic, but it was in Cape May, New Jersey, is where this one was caught, and you hear a little boy's voice, and you hear a marble bouncing, and then you hear him say, "It's mine."
Okay.
So I've had other people say they thought he was saying "it's wine."
He was playing the music too.
No, this
Wild and Grease. I know. Well, they're so wild and Grease. I know. Well, they're so wild and Grease. I know. Well, they're so.
so you can hear that.
It's not. It's wine. Get out of here. Whoever said that.
Well,
He said it's mine.
Let me explain why I said what this person said.
Right.
They were trashing this EVP. They're going, "Hey, that could be, you know, you guys can't tell what anybody's saying, and it could have been it's wine." But it's like, okay, why would a little kid say that? Plus, you know,
You obviously hear something drop.
you hear a marble bouncing, and then you hear it's mine. So
Jeez, dude.
the ones of kids just that creep me out.
Yeah.
But,
No, that one's interesting for sure.
It
Well,
is.
it's such a kid thing to say too, though.
right.
Right? Like
It's
it's
a
mine.
yeah,
Like
it's
it
a-
sounds just like Cleo. Like
yeah, exactly the mentality of a
right,
child.
right.
Let's listen to that one more time because it's creepy.
Wild and Grease. I know. Well, they're so wild and Grease. I know. Well, they're so wild and Grease. I know. Well, they're so.
All right, Mona, how'd that make you feel?
Jeez, man.
That one creeps me out.
Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
like honestly, it doesn't really creep me out when it's a kid.
It does me. I just because I feel. I mean, I love
But it's
kids,
still
and I
so-
would hate to think that
Right,
a
I know, I
child be left. And you know, to me, baby, it's residual energy. The kid played with marbles.
And we're gonna speak about
So
it.
yeah, and we're going to talk about where our voices go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, because for me, like
just speech.
the thing that gives me some sort of like relief in that moment is that he does still sound like a kid though.
Yeah.
Like he's dropping the marble. Hey, that's mine. It's not something like, help me, get me out of here. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Or he's playing.
Freaking out,
Or
or-
maybe he's playing with another friendly ghost on the other side. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, so we got to the time where we're gonna get into my EVPs. It's crazy. You would think when I researched EVPs, I was looking for EVPs I thought would be scary, whatever. There's not a lot of them
Same.
on YouTube. There's some that they're just so bad that you can't hear what they're saying.
Right.
And there's probably 6 that I went ahead and saved, and then I went through them again.
Not
And
worth it.
not worth it because you can hear something, but you can't tell what it's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to make sure I got ones that are Class A, ones you guys can hear. And Class A EVPs are pretty rare. They're hard to find.
Right. So would you consider yours to be Class A?
Yeah, I would because because you can actually hear the words.
That points to the fact that, man, your house was super active at that time.
Yeah, this one is, but this one's no words. It sounds like an elderly man groaning. I believe this was caught in a hallway at my home. And so I'm going to play that for you here. You have to listen. You'll hear like a, Okay, did you guys hear that? I'm going to play it again. Listen, it's at the very beginning. It like grunts 3 times. So, there. So when they found this in my house, this one disturbed me.
I definitely hear Pam's voice in there. And
No, it's not Pam.
is that not Pam?
No, they basically when they investigated our house.
Was that from them?
Yeah, this
got
is from
it.
Kathy Nance's group.
Oh, okay.
When they came in, they basically huddled us into one room and made us stay there while they did the investigation, so we don't contaminate
So
it.
Kathy caught that.
Kathy or one of her people caught it.
Yeah.
And then when they did the master bedroom, then we had to go to another
Right, for
room
sure. Yeah.
so that there's no contamination. But yeah, that kind of sucked. That bothered me because it sounds like somebody in pain.
Right.
Okay, so this next one they caught at my house. I did amplify this one, and it's at the very beginning, so listen quickly, and it says, "I'm here." And let me find it right there. Oops.
Is it my imagination, or is there something right there in the corner? Is it my imagination, or is there something right there in the corner?
You hear that, Pam?
Is it
Right there. I'm here.
Yes, I heard it.
Yeah.
I was in that house
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, he was in my house a lot. That was the house that we moved from. And Kathy, again, it was her group that caught that I'm here. So that was somewhat a little...
Let them know.
Yeah. So
Well, I remember during that time, Keith, the spirits that you had and were involved with weren't shy
No.
by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I'll share a story with you that I don't think I've ever told you.
Oh, God. Okay.
No, it's not bad. I'd got up. Pam had got up for work, and she left, and I didn't know that. Now this one, and I yelled. I go, "Pam, are you still here?" And I audibly heard, "No."
Whoa.
And that came, and it sounded like it was coming from our bathroom in the old master bedroom that we used to have.
Yes. I remember that bathroom.
Yeah. And I thought, okay, am I just sleeping?
Yeah.
And I was totally awake, and I said, "Pam, are you here?" And it said, "No."
Oh, my gosh.
And
you audibly heard-
the spirit was right. She had already left.
Right. So what would cause a spirit to because some of these are getting caught on EVPs, but others are audible like that, where
Man, I don't know. Some EVPs, rarely you can audibly hear them.
right. I know, but my point is
Most of them you can't.
if a spirit has the ability to say that out loud, and there's a lot of cases where you hear the spirit or you feel the spirit, don't you think that would be more common, or would it take more energy?
That's a great question. We don't know how much energy,
Right.
because we're not there.
Right.
But I think speaking seems to be easier than manifesting.
Okay.
They need lots of energy. There's been people who've made experiments of super powerful electricity trying to
Manifest a spirit.
have a spirit to use it to manifest
Right.
into a
And
form.
they haven't been able to.
And either the spirit doesn't want to do it or it just doesn't work.
Or doesn't know how because it's complicated.
And it and a lot of times, like when you do ghost hunts, your batteries will go dead.
Right.
Because they use any type of energy they can find.
Right. So they're sucking the
to
energy.
either speak. I don't know if they need that energy to speak or what they. It's weird. It's just I don't know.
Hey, I got something to tell you.
Okay.
So at the new house, we've been able to communicate with our lamp.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
ask us about it. And it's extremely consistent. Taylor's been over there during it.
Okay, I've heard nothing about this. So
But we haven't talked about it, man. Because we're
Now,
of course,
are you-
we're like, okay, there's a short in the lamp.
Okay.
Right. But at the same time, we were able. We sat there one night. I believe Taylor was over at the house doing homework or something, and she witnessed us actually communicating with this lamp. It was off, and in fact, I walked in the other day. The switch was off, but it was blinking on and off.
Okay. But did it blink to your questions? Did you ask it questions?
Yeah. So we were like, stop. And it just stopped because it was blinking out of control. I felt like I was about to have a seizure. I was like, stop. But it's almost excited, right? That's how we felt. And then it just would turn off.
Now, have you
Cass would be like,
have you taken the cord and shook it real good? And
no, I need to do some further investigating. That night was very consistent. The day when I walked in, or the other day, because I don't keep my lamp on during the day.
maybe we should investigate your house too.
Yeah, or just that lamp. I don't know. We have a lot of old stuff in our house.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah,
carry
Garrett
things
has
out.
the oddest thing that he'll find things that he has I think I told you guys last week. There's
Yeah.
a picture of a family he
My
has
dad did not like that.
hanging up in his wall that he just. Where'd you find it?
Thrift store.
Yeah, at a thrift store.
Yeah.
Why would you buy that?
It was cool. I don't know. It looked cool. It was
Have you
one of
seen
those
it, Pam?
I don't have it up anymore, but
He used to have it up.
And I actually had a light that was shining onto it, so that when you walked in, that was the focus of the room. But no, I just
That's
thought it
so
was
crazy. It's
I just thought it was cool. It
so
just
you have
looked
strangers over your house going, "Oh, is that your mom and dad?"
good. Yeah.
No?
We called it the conversational piece.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, no, I just bought this on the whim. The family looked good, so
But
what
we
the
do.
hell?
We have collectibles and things of that nature, and so. But I thought it was odd that it was so consistent that night. So I mean, Cass will not let us come in and do an investigation though.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it really.
Yeah,
Because she was there for that experience, dude.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, I wouldn't want to stir up things at your house.
No, it's a new house.
And especially this brand new home we're in. Recently, the owner passed away.
Right.
I think I told everybody that's why we had to wait for the closing, because we were supposed to close and the owner of this house died, and we had to wait for his death certificate. And so I don't want to stir up anything in here either.
No, for sure.
But he seemed like a great, I read a bio on him. He was kind of well known in Yukon, in this town, and he was supposed to be just a great guy.
Hey, do you think that, with some of these things, so for instance, you did the flashlight thing.
Yeah.
So do you think that because we don't, not that we know of, there's nobody from the future that's spirits are there may be, I don't know. But do you think that because there's a ceiling on when, for instance, if I die today, then that's essentially the extent of my knowledge for which I'm carrying over the spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that maybe that's one reason why they use these simple things? So the reason I ask is because earlier you were saying somebody tried to get all this electricity and do you think that would complicate things? And that's why they go to these kind of very generic, the K2 is super generic, easy to kind of.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I think they look for simplicity.
Right.
They're as being a spirit, because I've read books where people have near-death experiences, and we should do a show on that.
Yes, we should. Yes.
Where they said after they died is they still had the knowledge that they had on Earth,
right.
And so to figure out how to communicate, they would have to figure something out.
You have to work at it.
Yeah, you'd have to work at it, just like the movie Ghost. That's a great show where the guy's trying to show the guy how kick the can and he's like, you got to muster all this energy,
right?
And, almost get angry and get it to work,
right?
So I think it's like that. I think the longer the spirit stays around, the more he learns, the more he knows what he can do, what he's capable of doing.
Well, and it makes sense as to why something from the 90s that had a defect inside of it would be selling for $3,000 today, and the go-to product for really serious ghost hunters, right?
Yeah, and it would, and you got to also think is why would a ghost even know, like during a lecture at a college, hey, I'm going to see if I can speak into this. You know what I mean?
Right.
And see if that works.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Or try to get the energy to talk through it.
So that's where I go back to, like, you know, the knowledge of this kind of stuff in advance.
Yeah.
You would almost have to have the knowledge of it in advance to be aware that, or you would have to see Kathy Nance and her team coming in and using it and inviting it, right? And so
yeah, and that's the scary part of it. When you're inviting, you don't know what you're asking.
right.
So like when we do Scott's, when we do that ghost
Location,
investigation,
right.
God, I'm stupid to do this, but okay. Is we're going to ask for spirits of the light only.
We're going to do the prayers.
We're going to do a prayer. We're going to ask for no negative energy.
Well, and we've talked about this on past shows, and Pamela said it. She hit the nail on the head earlier. Is that like her faith in herself and her surroundings? Far exceeds what could potentially come inside. So
yeah, and like I think I've said in previous episodes, I'm not scared anymore, really, and it may be because I know now, like Pam was saying, I've got faith. Like, and if I see something, it's like all I got to do is ignore it.
right. Well, not
You know,
speaking,
and if I don't ask for
Right.
anything else, then usually it's not going to bother you because it's not getting your attention.
well, and not speaking for you, but on your behalf. Now, me being in a situation where I have little kids, like for you now and Pamela, you guys are in a lot different place now where your kids are grown. Things are like it's settled down for you guys. Like I can see looking back now, me having little kids.
Yeah.
You guys had 3 essentially little kids back then, so as you would be scared and you would be, you know, right?
Yeah.
We're in such a different place, and even with our knowledge of it, and since we've discussed hours and hours and hours of it,
Right.
So
Yeah, and they're, you know, the kids, like you said, they're older now. They're not little. I mean,
I know that was one of the angriest times I ever got was you and I had gone downtown
went to
for
go-
some reason.
we went to Morgan Mart to get a drink, and it's what it was.
I thought we were further downtown than that, though.
I'm not sure because we were leaving the kids at home.
I know.
yeah,
Good parenting.
no,
Yeah.
No, but
I
They were
thought we
old
went
enough
to
for that.
Sonic. But anyway, regardless of wherever we went, we weren't going to be gone long. But
and she got mad.
the kids called and were freaking out because stuff was falling off the walls and
I remember-
there was a
yeah.
Guitar was playing
and stuff like
and
that.
Dylan was very scared.
Yeah.
Well, and they didn't really have. I'm sure they were aware of kind of what we're doing, but you guys were in the back room, like for most when I would.
Now, when we did the ghost investigation, we had sent the kids to my mom and dad's house.
Right.
Yeah.
And did anyone stay back? Any of the kids? Or was it just you?
no.
Yeah.
No, it
we
was just
sent them
you and
all.
I.
We sent them all to my mom, and man, that started a whole thing because Katie had heard something about the ghost hunt. So she tells
Right.
my dad. My dad calls me and goes, "What the hell's going on?" He's
Yeah.
like, "What's going on over there?
Yeah.
You know, what are you doing that for?" And all that, and was like, "Well, you know, so because
it was necessary.
right, and he didn't, you know, I don't think
Of
he wanted
course.
us messing with that stuff. Plus, I doubt he
Too late.
believed
Sorry.
it anyway.
Sorry, Grandpa.
Yeah.
That's why they're here.
But
No, well, that's to the point though I'm trying to make is that like really she had just overheard that.
Yeah.
And kind of mentioned it.
Yeah.
But when the things were flying off the wall and you guys were down the street,
they were aware of it.
okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that was, you know, the fishing pole flew
Yeah.
off the wall, and then the guitar, his little guitar, just started playing
Oh my
by
God.
itself.
Yeah.
And so he was crying, he was scared, and I can't remember, was Katie call us or Taylor or somebody?
Katie was.
Yeah. And,
Yeah. They were all upset.
Of course.
You know.
and we came back home, and Pam went into
I mean,
Mama
like,
Bear,
busted in the door.
Yeah.
You know.
and
Well,
she,
I told
she
you-
was yelling at the spirit, "Stop
Yeah.
it!"
We have a video, and Cass, I think it's on our external hard drive. We'll have to find it. It's way back then. Back when my gym was right across the street, Cass, I would be working, and Cass would come over during the day, and that's the time she was videotaping Kennedy doing something so cute on the bed. Right, like, and this is when Kennedy was 3 or 4, and you know that's the fun age. All of a sudden, Kennedy jumps off the bed and says, "Mom, I'm gonna go play with like I don't know if she said the word ghost or what she said, but she hopped off the bed and ran down the hallway.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know Cass got her really quick,
Yeah.
got in the car, drove up to the gym. Like, dude, the look on her face, she was terrified. And Cass, you know, she's very skeptical.
Yeah.
You know your daughter.
Yeah, but I think Cassie actually has some psychic ability too.
I agree. No, I would agree.
Yeah, I remember that.
She doesn't want to tap into it, though, obviously. For
I
obvious
guess
reasons.
Kennedy has seen like a lady in the house.
Something there
in the hallway.
Right. She jumped down off the bed and ran
Now,
after it.
didn't Cassie see a glimpse of this thing, or did it just freak her out that
It
Kennedy
just freaked her out that
Now,
she
does
was
Ken-
so certain.
Yeah, did Kennedy have any memory
No.
now of it? Yeah,
No.
that's usually is what happens when they're
Right,
young and they see
Well,
things.
I'm sure it's so real.
Yeah,
She was really thinking she was going to play.
yeah, and I think as we're younger, we're closer to the spirit world because we just
Right.
came from the spirit world. So I think that's why kids can see things that
Right,
we
right,
don't
right.
see. And Pam has cats, and I've seen them chase stuff that I'm like, I don't see anything.
Right,
But cats are crazy though, right, Pam?
Cats are crazy, dude.
So, okay, so this is my
Cats are cats.
Cats
Yeah.
are cats, yes.
Okay, so this is my last EVP, and then I've got a few more, and then we'll just talk about some other stuff that I think is
Right.
interesting. This one is hard to hear. I don't know why. You can hear it pretty well if I'm just listening to it on a recorder, but you're going to hear our dog bark like 2 or 3 times, and you're going to hear, look out, look out, look out.
Got one staying on the whole time.
Let me go back here. Because I think there's one part I shouldn't have amplified it because almost you can hear the first look out,
Okay.
and then I'm stupidly amplified it. It sounds like
You're
just
so dumb.
mush. I know. Like right there.
Got one staying on the whole time.
All right, we're gonna play it one more time, and I'll tell you.
Do this to the camera.
Yeah, and you're gonna hear look out, and then I amplified the other 2 lookouts, and it's just like
Clear as day, dude.
yeah.
Got one staying on
Could
the
you hear
whole
the first
time.
lookout, Pam?
I can.
Okay. And I asked Pam because, like I said, she's very. She'll tell you like it is. If she doesn't hear
Yeah.
it, she'll say, "I don't hear anything.
Right.
I don't hear what it is." I want to tell you another funny story on an EVP that I caught one time, and it's somewhere in my recorder. And it was in the house. And I go, "Is there anybody here?" And I heard, "No."
Yeah. Hey, the stuff with Carly, was that EVP or was that Ghostbox?
That was Spirit Box.
Okay.
And that's the last time I heard it used. I had not used it, and my son-in-law, or not my son-in-law, but my daughter's boyfriend
Right, at the time.
wanted to play with it. And I said, not in the house. You're going to have to take it outside.
Right.
And then I got to worrying about him and the girls. I said, okay, I'll go with you. And Carly was, 16, 17.
Probably.
And I can't repeat what
It was just bad, though.
it was bad what the
Yeah.
spirit said to her.
And that was the last time you guys, and then you...
Yeah, it was sexual in nature, and that's as far as I'm going to go with it.
Right.
But it was clear as day. She ran off screaming, and I grabbed the box and I shut it down because it
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
And this thing, whatever it was just cursing, and it kept saying
Right.
MF. It kept saying the F bomb through the whole time we had it, and I grabbed it and I said, "Okay, we're done. We're done with
Right,
that."
right.
Yeah, and I didn't even, I didn't even want him to use that at all.
Right.
But okay, so that was my last EVP.
Hey, well, is that at your house?
That was at my house.
What was
The
it?
lookout.
Look out.
Now they were in the dining room, and we had a door that went out to the backyard, and our bulldog was out there,
Right.
and he probably sensed them through the door and was
Right.
barking,
Right.
and that's when they caught the EVP. So why it was saying look out, I don't know, unless he was telling the other spirits, hey, they're over on the side of the house.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe they were afraid they were going
Or-
to expel them from the
What if they're
house.
scared of the dog?
Nah.
Okay, so can we talk about the spirit box and the EVPs really fast?
Sure.
In your experience.
Yeah.
In your experience.
I need my coffee warmed up.
So in your experience, Dylan. No, I'm just kidding. So what is the difference between the spirit box? I'm a big dumb idiot. Okay, explain really fast. The difference between a spirit box session and an EVP.
Okay, EVP on the tape recorder or digital recorder is basically an embodied or disembodied voice that you're picking up that you don't hear audibly. Like you walk through, you do your investigation, you ask questions, and you still don't know if there's anything on it until you sit down after your investigation and you listen back. Now, a lot of ghost guys now, because probably for the entertainment value, they'll do an instant playback to hear if
For
there's
sure.
anything on there.
So and you can catch a phrase
You
on an
can catch-
EVP, right?
EVP, you can catch a phrase, yeah, definitely,
Okay.
or you get one, shorts like no, yes.
Okay.
or they'll give us, a lot of them give sentences.
Right.
The spirit box is basically what it is. It was called Frank's box. A guy named Frank back in, I don't know how long ago, 40s, 50s. He took a radio and he made it where it just goes through the stations super fast. So it's like, and so you might hear a DJ saying something real quick.
Right.
But somehow these spirits have learned to manipulate the voices on this to use them for theirs.
Okay.
Don't ask me how. But so you can be doing that live and you'll hear it playing as day. Like if you say, how old are you? Or how many spirits are here? And you'll hear 3.
Right.
It'll just come through.
So in your experience.
In my experience, yeah. What?
Did you ask like.
Oh, yeah.
And did you get a response?
Most of the time.
See, and that's kind of the weird thing because a skeptic would say, well, it's just picking up a recording from a radio station or it's your brain.
Well, let me tell you this, why it's not picking up a radio station. This thing is running at 200 milliseconds. Okay. So it's going super fast. So for you to get 3 words, like the one I have, I am evil.
Right.
Okay. This would have been impossible to have picked up a DJ and said,
mathematically,
I am, and then evil. So,
right.
and it's the same voice. And sometimes you hear like they have their own sound, like Pam's father.
Right.
I could always recognize because it was that monotone.
Pat?
It's Pat.
Yes.
Yeah. I caught him. He was on there constantly.
Right.
I don't know if he was the one haunting the house because I had different voices. I don't think he was the I am evil. But I wasn't sure. And I told him, hey, you're not evil. You can cross over. You're fine. I'm sure God will forgive you. Go to the light. And
I think that's even to the point though, is that when you ask how many are here and you get a 3.
Yeah.
Or if you ask what's your name and you get a name.
Yeah.
I mean, mathematically, it's impossible when you get the I am evil.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't. So there's validity to that.
Yeah, it drives me nuts because there's skeptics that go, oh, well, you're just picking up a radio station. It's like, no, I'm not. Because it's intelligently answering my questions.
Exactly.
It's in a different voice, usually, as the DJ. And then plus, it's going 200 milliseconds.
Right.
So you're not going to catch a sentence. I mean, if the guy goes, it's partly cloudy, 75. That's not going to come through.
I witnessed you getting responses on the spirit box.
Yeah.
And because initially what I would think if I heard an EVP and I'd never been involved in that situation is I would say, okay, well, they got somebody in the background or somebody calling in on a speaker. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But when I witness it on your end, I trust you guys with everything, right?
Well, what would be the reason to lie about it?
Exactly. Well,
I mean, I'd rather not catch anything.
Well, that's why. That's why I wanted to bring up the parallels because for me, like having that experience with you gives a validity to the EVPs.
Yeah.
Because if I could have witnessed you encountering answers you were getting, how many spirits are here? 3. Yeah. Who is this? I am Pat or I am evil. Right. Is that it gives more validity to the EVPs. Yeah,
and a very interesting thing too that almost made it was more validity to it because Pam had asked this spirit who we thought was Pat. He goes, "How many times did you take me to the fair?" And he said, "No, like I never took you to the fair."
Right.
And Pam was right. Her father had never taken her to the fair.
Right.
So, if spirit would say, "Oh, I remember that," or yes, I took you to the fair. Well, no, this spirit was saying no.
Yeah, right.
And I did talk about the Bible with Pat, and he completely, I said, "Well, Pat, do you believe in the Bible?" And he said, "Yes." And it was like, well, and so he didn't almost believe the part of, being a spirit bound, you can cross over to the light. I think he really thought he was going to be punished. I think most spirits are scared of the light because they're thinking, "Oh God, I don't know what's beyond that light." And I think eventually that all spirits will cross over.
Well, I remember you coming in, just to say hi to you guys one time, and Keith's in there arguing with Pat in the bathroom. Go to the light. I remember, specifically remember that because it kind of started getting, you started kind of getting frustrated.
Well, the reason I was is because first of all, I felt bad for him because it's like, and there's probably, I don't know, I won't share that, but, for something he had done, I think he thought he was going to go to hell
In his Christian beliefs.
and in his Christian beliefs. And I mean, for days, I would talk to Pat, and I was
Right.
like, you got to go, man. It's way better over there.
Right, yeah.
You know, you're stuck here. This is not, your life's over, and it's time to move on to whatever God has planned for you. And he just would not cross.
I think we need to just say, my dad, birth dad, my choice, and I'll be.
Well, I didn't want to bring it up
No,
unless you
it's
did.
fine. It's fine. I'll be very honest about it. Pat was a suicide case, and he had a lot of issues: mental health, substance, his nuclear family that he grew up in is where a lot of that started.
A lot going on.
So there was a lot of stuff going on there. And it did cause me issues when I was a kid because I was very young when
Yeah.
he did this. I mean, I was old enough that I had a relationship with him. It was strained at that point.
Right.
But anyway, long and short of it is that the situation that he was in, typically in traditional Western Judeo-Christian belief, is that if you commit suicide, you're going to hell.
Absolutely.
It's a one-way ticket. And that's why I personally have a lot of issue with Christian belief.
Right.
I just, that's a pretty brutal thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
Because we know now that you're in pain.
Right,
And that
exactly.
No one should be
And
punished for being
exactly.
in pain.
Exactly.
When someone's suffering that much
Yeah.
and they're hurting, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And his beliefs were because even
And he was actually very, he went through spells up and down like a lot of addicts do,
Right.
where you find God and you feel better and you do better and you work your program and then you fall off the wagon for
Right.
whatever reason.
Right.
But he was, I believe, really pretty sincere in his relationship with God.
Well, I'm sure.
I feel like as an adult now, as a kid, I kind of let my mind get manipulated by people who would tell me that people who commit suicide are on that one-way ticket to hell. But as an adult, I realize now that, if he is in hell, it's for the way he lived
Right.
and not the way he died.
Or the way he, yeah, exactly.
You know.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
What-
and I was messing with the board here earlier, so if you said this, forgive me. But you had even talked to a pastor, and
I had a Baptist minister tell me
go ahead and
that-
share with the audience what he told you, which
that
is horrible.
Yeah, that he was burning in hell because he committed suicide.
Yeah.
And I was probably about 13, 14 at the time.
I mean, now what kind of man?
Yeah.
That's not
Me and Cass were having a very in-depth conversation about this last night, because her and Kennedy were having almost a philosophical conversation about religion, I guess, in the back room, which is pretty cool for Kennedy to be that age. And
it's interesting the way
Yeah.
your kids' minds work as
Right.
they start to mature.
Yeah.
You get a whole
Right.
new perspective on things.
well, so she
It's
started
fascinating.
she started asking me, because I grew up in a pretty strict Catholic household. And
Sure.
So I was explaining to her that I look at my religion more as like a cultural thing. Like I'm cultural. Like I like the practice of it, right? But knowing what we know now about the brain, it makes things very difficult in situations like you're saying, or even
Right.
like when we talked about the abortion part, episodes ago. So
Yeah.
knowing what we know now, so
Right.
back then that pastor, right, he was an ignorant ass. So right, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
and look. Here's the deal. Even if that man thought Pat legitimately was going to go to hell,
and phically burning in
physically
fire.
burning, you would not tell his daughter that.
Right.
You would just say something like, "Well, it's up to God. I don't know." You wouldn't say, "Yeah, your dad is burning in hell right
But
now for
some
what he
people
did."
still do. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't a Catholic, they believe that, don't they? If you commit suicide, you burn in hell.
Yeah. But I believe the more concrete you believe the afterlife is, the more extreme you are.
Right.
And I'm not an extremist, right? And
Right.
so, so the reason why I wanted to bring up all those points is because we had mentioned that your knowledge that you die with, you carry over with. Would it not be the same with fear? You're right. And so,
Yeah.
if you're, so that's why it's important to be
Yeah.
I
open-minded
think
and liberated.
the longer you hang around, the worst. I think we carry everything we have over to the other side. So if we're kind of a butthole of a guy, if we go to the spirit world and we stay earthbound, we're kind of probably going to be a butthole on the other side.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why I think that our, what they say are demons. I think it's just people are just mean and nasty.
Right.
Who are just causing hectic problems for people because they can. Right. And they learn how to do that, how to possess people.
And, this is where Keith and I think for quite some time have kind of had a little bit of a philosophical division of, whether there's a hell or whether there's not a hell,
Right. Or what is hell?
Yeah, and Keith kind of falls on the side of, I don't think there really is one.
Right.
And I kind of fall on the side of, I hope there is one.
Right.
Because I don't want people like Hitler.
Oh, for sure.
Ted Bundy. I don't want to be hanging out with those people in my heaven.
Well, I don't think, okay, to get into this discussion, I don't think you would have to hang out with Hitler or Ted Bundy. I think there's probably, I've read there's different levels of where your spiritualism is. And so I don't think Manson's going to be hanging around, going, "Hey, Bam, what's up?"
That goes back
not
to,
in my heaven.
Yeah.
No,
He's not invited.
and that's exactly right. Well, I think when you die and you go to the other side, you create what you want in your heaven.
Yeah.
Right. So
well, this goes back to our reincarnation episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Where your soul, depending on where you are. Right.
In the cycle.
In the cycle, somebody like Manson obviously would have to be reincarnated a lot in order to figure out how to liberate his soul in a different way. And so I feel like the hell would be that you're stuck in this life even more.
Again and again.
You're in the time loop.
Right. Learning.
Yeah.
Exactly. Learning. Exactly.
But also then another.
We talked about this last night.
Yeah. Another point too is, and I know people are going to just go slam me for this, but
get slammed.
Okay. So let's say you have a serial killer, but let's say he was horribly abused his whole life.
Okay.
And let's say he has some type of mental illness, right? That he doesn't have a normal mindset. He's not normal. Right. So do we hold this guy in judgment because he couldn't control himself, what he did?
Man, I like where this is going.
And because of that, I think God would say, "Hey, let's try this again." Okay.
Right.
And then again, I know this sounds nuts, but how do we know he wasn't here to teach? Again, I know this sounds
go down that path. Do it. Go.
I went down the path the other day with the Manson thing. Is teaching someone how to forgive someone who done something just horrible.
Right.
Because I think there's a Don Henley song. It's about forgiveness.
Right.
He talks about life and forgiveness, and I think that's one of the huge,
so
big lessons.
Man.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the hardest things to do, but I think that's something. One of our lessons are forgiveness, unconditional love, sacrificing for others, and that kind of thing. So,
well, it's funny because
do we send the guy to hell because he was mentally ill?
I'm going to say something that might get me slammed even more.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because we brought this up last night. You
guys in the chat, join in. This is what this whole thing is about.
Yeah, this is fine. We're airing out our thoughts, and so
and you don't have to agree with me or anything like that. But it's just saying let's talk about this.
Well, we're not saying anything certain. We're just throwing out hypotheticals.
Yeah, I'm not so stupid that I would say, my belief's the only belief. I don't know.
I think that should be the thing is the journey, right? And so this is what we started going down the rabbit hole big time last night. And so even we started talking about reincarnation, and Pamela brought up such a great thing in that episode about Nathan, my brother, who's handicapped and has the mind capacity of 3 to 4 weeks old, right? Or 6
he has a twin brother.
Right, who's physically and mentally handicapped. And so, and what you said is maybe he's closer to nirvana, and he's in this place to teach all of us around him. And you talked about Aunt Debbie.
Compassion.
Right,
compassion, how to take care of somebody, how to unconditionally love someone and help that person.
Man, I used to get, dude, and I still have this thing today, and very rarely, like, you guys have probably never seen me really get like too worked up, right? And like, but I used to get real worked up about getting stared at when I was a kid, because we would go out, we take Nate everywhere, and we get stared at, and our thing was, I'm just gonna stare fucking back at you until you stop staring, right? But now as I've gotten older, like as we were getting older, and I think my parents' understanding of the situation got more well-rounded, is that we were able to then take those stares and go, hey, this is Nate. Bring him in.
Right.
Bring him in. You've never
Right.
seen somebody like that. And so
Right.
why I might get slammed is in your scenario, your hypothetical where you say a serial killer has something wrong with their brain, because initially when you're saying that, I was thinking, well, they have no remorse. But
Right.
but are they a tool? I called myself a tool the other day. I'm a tool, really. No, but are they put into this life as a way? Are they closer to reaching nirvana? I mean, right? Like,
Yeah.
are they?
Absolutely possible.
I
I don't
mean,
know. I mean, that's a very good point.
Right.
And again, it's like it's we're not going to find out till we die. But I like discussing this stuff because, you know, when you start to get in the 50s, you're learning. Okay, well, I don't even have half my life left
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like you
in
kind
no
of.
way am I comparing Nathan to Charles Manson. I
No,
don't need
no,
to
no,
make
no.
that
Yeah,
very.
right,
But I'm saying
right.
that the effect that it has on society could be a lot of similarities drawn, a lot of parallels drawn between the two.
Yeah, so I mean, and I don't know. Does mental illness cause serial killing? I don't know. Does
Well-
horrible child abuse cause serial killing?
I think we all know that the answer to both of those questions is yes.
Yes,
Yes.
It does.
Right, yeah.
Right.
You know,
So so that's my question.
And a
Do
multitude
we?
of factors play into that.
So do we send those people to hell because they're mentally ill?
That's
you know,
that's the question.
well, and
yeah.
that's the thing. We don't send them anywhere.
No, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
but
you
okay.
know.
So does God? I'll put it this
You know,
way: Does
what-
God?
whatever
Keith
they're-
gets a list in the mail every month, and he's like, "Okay, hang on, let me."
You're on the
adjust-
naughty
Yeah,
list.
purgatory,
You get coal.
hell,
Yeah.
heaven.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I mean, honestly, we don't send them anywhere, and I think it's kind of in along the strains of hopefully as you move through these lessons in life, you're kind of with peers in a similar situation. Your like draws like. Hopefully,
For sure.
and certainly we come across people that we think we're nothing like, and find out that we actually have much more in common than we realized.
Right.
But I think with people who have those proclivities to be extremely violent or things like that, I don't know. It just seems like those are folks that are still learning lessons, maybe. But are they even capable
Right.
of really learning anything in this life? Because when you go and talk to these people who have been caught and imprisoned for, however, like Ed Kemper, there's no
One of
remorse
the-
there.
Yeah.
There's nothing that
Right.
he's learned,
Yeah.
So
But one of the nicest guys
seems to be.
in,
don't have any big desire to be Ed Kemper's
No,
bestie or
right,
his-
no,
or
and
his
I'm not.
pen pal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, but I mean, Ed Kemper. Even the cops liked the guy.
Right.
Even when he was brutally murdering people, but he wanted to be a police officer so bad. He was 6'8", 9", something
gigantic.
He's gigantic, and he
Yeah.
was too tall for the force.
Right.
So he would hang out at the police bars where the cops were, and the cops said we loved Ed. He was nice. He
Right.
was buy us a drink. He was friendly. At the same time, he's going out and he's murdering co-eds. you
Right.
know?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely a sociopath. He had, when he talks about it today, he doesn't really have much.
I think
It's like he's
some-
taking out the trash, talking
Yeah,
about taking the garbage out
I
or
think
something.
some people are just broken in different
They
ways.
are. So
know?
so that's what I'm saying, and it's like, okay, so this guy is obviously mentally ill. He's a sociopath. Does he burn forever? And never have another chance? But let me say this: we're saying that. What if hell was being an earthbound spirit? Nope. Your separation from God. You're in this place where there's nobody, there's no joy, you can't do anything. You're just
Yeah.
like, and is it like time out?
Yeah.
Well, and maybe
here, think about what you
maybe,
did.
Maybe that's where I need to rethink my philosophy on that. Is it not necessarily that we have to, I say not my heaven,
Right.
not necessarily that I have to have a hell, but I just don't want to be hanging out with people like that.
Right, for sure.
You know,
And I don't think you have to.
You know, so wherever they go, you know, and that's very, to me, it's so apples and oranges to take someone like Manson or Kemper or Bundy or
It is, yeah.
whoever,
Hitler.
and compare them to someone like Nate.
Right.
You know.
Well, and that's what
Yeah.
I was making the point though, is
Yeah.
that because you would seem though as though would somebody carry over their mental illness to the spirit world though? You know what I mean? Like if you have a mental illness, would you?
That's a great question. Or
Yeah,
is that what
well,
causes the fear?
we do know. Well, we do know.
Hitler was a psychopath. We know that.
Yeah.
Like, so does he go on to the next life and then all of a sudden he has some clarity and is like looking down on what the carnage that he's created?
Right.
And therefore his fear is like, oh my God, I can't go towards the light.
Yeah.
Look what I've done. And
Yeah.
therefore his hell is that.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
It could be. You know, who knows?
I hate to think that our mental illness is because that's within our brain.
Yeah.
And maybe that has an effect on our
Well, you know, they
spirit.
talk about a lot of NDE people who've had NDEs, near-death experiences, who talked about your life review. That everybody goes through a life review, and everybody you've ever hurt in your life, you get it, you feel the pain that you caused, and then everything you did wonderful, you feel the joy that you caused or made.
And that puts things in perspective
So
on how you
yes,
should live.
see, this is the stuff that's fascinating to me. This is why I started this channel.
yeah.
I love talking about this because
Man, what you just said really, really, like, if you, as a human being, if you think about what you just said, Keith, about what you deal out is what you get in return in the next life, that should cause everybody pause to really reflect on how you deal with things. And earlier, what I was going to say is when people used to stare at me and I used to stare them down, I went back into that mode today on some kid on the turnpike where I was trying, I was doing something, I was trying to roll up a window and this girl drives by and gives me the look, dude, and I see her little squirrely boyfriend in the passenger seat. I had Cleo in the back seat, and not only did I give the death stare, but I also like got up next to him, and I resorted back to that, and I know she was fearful because she backed up and I got in front of her, and then she got let. I was being a dumbass, but you know what? I caused her fear. I should in the next life feel that upon myself. There was no reason for me to do that.
Yeah.
So what you said was like really, really important. That kind of hit me a little bit.
I'm going to start a cult.
I'll be in it. I'll
No,
be in
you're
it.
not.
No, I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, not in this house, not in this room.
No. It's just like I
It
said.
makes sense though. What you give.
I think, I think to answer your question earlier, do we carry that over? Sure, we do.
the mental illness or the fear?
No, I think
I would say both.
I would. Yeah,
Well, is that not karma?
well, yeah, and karma's that's a whole nother show. But I think it's a possibility you carry the mental illness over, but I think eventually it would fade.
So
Possibly.
that's what I was gonna say is
Because you hear about in the Bible unclean spirit, and why don't you buy a chair?
it's
Hey Kim, all right guys, Cash App, Cuckoo a Jew.
please, I need a new chair. man.
Let's raise $80 for a new chair for Garrett. Okay.
Hey, I also need to get my Bob Lazar UFO sucking up my astronaut.
Yeah. No. We're not.
Okay, so no, continue.
No. So what I'm saying is, I think there's a
I
possibility
like that fading.
that right when you continue over, you probably still have a little mental illness, but after a while, I think maybe that fades, or maybe. I don't know,
Can I
man.
tell you what I think?
Maybe you have it until you go to the light.
So-
Because let me finish the
Go ahead.
unclean spirit thing. Where you hear about the Bible, Jesus casting unclean spirits. There's a lot of people that believe that all that means is an earthbound spirit. He's unclean. He hasn't went to the light to be cleansed and to do his life review and to go, oh, I need to work on this or work on that.
Right.
So not necessarily a demon, but just a mean,
Unclean spirit.
who carried his beliefs. I mean, think about it. Okay, Scott brought up a Satanist. Does she bring that over with her on the other side? And then if she does, and God obviously is her enemy, and she knows ultimately, subconsciously, I'm sure she knows God wins in the end.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the light because God is going to punish me.
Right.
So that could be your demons. That could be your people who are Satanists who died. They took that over. But eventually, I think after years and years and years, as they're observing and they're watching things, hopefully,
Yeah.
that they do see, oh, I need to go to the light.
They start to be like,
And at this point,
hey, Jimmy, you're up here too? Like
Yeah.
all the Satanist friends are around you. You're like,
Yeah.
wait a second, guys. I think we did something wrong.
Well, or if hell is that, Jimmy wouldn't be there. You'd be by yourself
Right.
in this dark realm without God. So it'd be like a life without God.
I will say that I believe that unequivocally you do not necessarily carry a mental illness over.
I hope not.
I think that the effect that the mental illness has on your spirit is what you would carry over.
Or was it part of your plan when you came down?
Well, because I think that because in dreams, you oftentimes see, like for instance, when Grandpa came to Cass in her dream,
Yeah.
he was younger. He was
Right.
in the height of him as a human being, right?
Yeah.
His joyful times. And so, like with Nathan, I would hope that when we meet each other in the next life, is that we're communicating and we're talking. And he's like, hey, great, I'm glad I had that impact on you. So
Yeah.
that his physical being hasn't done anything to his spirit.
Right.
So with mental illness, it's something in your brain, or it could be caused by environmental.
Yeah,
so I like the idea of it fading.
Right. You know, and you also, when you said that, something just clicked in my head is, we got to remember, we're spirit and body. Our bodies are not perfect. Our bodies are damaged. So when we leave the body,
design.
you would think, okay, well, I don't have this mental illness anymore because
Right.
I was in a sick body.
Right.
But my
In a sick
spirit
body,
is
right.
free of this.
Yes.
So
But you might carry over you might have a fearful heart. You might have, you know what I'm saying? That mental illness, you have done these things so that when you're unchained from it, so that's where we go back to the Hitler thing.
Right,
Where it's
right.
like, okay, he's stuck forever, man. There's like no way that he can get over
and
that.
can you imagine
right?
him being on the other side? Like, I mean, millions of Jews.
God.
And
Yeah.
and Americans and
all over the place,
he invaded Poland, France, all these people
Right.
that he is responsible for killing.
Right.
The magnitude of what he would have to feel on the other side if he loses that conscious
Right.
part that's
Right.
damaged, where he thought, I'm going to make this this white race of just perfect people.
Yes.
Of God, there's
So
no way.
what you're saying is he's closed the door on so many friggin' people
Yeah, absolutely.
and caused that is a tidal wave. So that's the ultimate hell,
Right.
right? No, so I'm gonna say something that you talk about getting slammed. Here we go. Is that and I make it a point, and anybody that like knows me that watches this can verify. I make it a point not to talk about religion or politics with anybody outside of my family, right?
Right.
And so when we have these kind of discussions, it's very interesting because I know that people I know that I work with are listening. So what I told Cass last night, she said, "Where do you stand?" And I say, like on the Bible. And I said, "I feel like it was the greatest book ever written." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I was like, well, it gives humanity something that's human, right? But within that are all these lessons like sacrifice, right? Like faith and like buying into things. And so whenever we have these discussions, and we talk about the Bible and things of that nature, I think these are the lessons that, like, if you don't catch on to those lessons in your human being life, you're going to have to either be stuck or do it over again. You're
Yeah.
not going to reach your goal. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
So
It kind of sparked something for me just a minute ago when you said unclean spirit,
Yep.
because the first thing that popped into my mind when you said unclean spirit was purified by fire.
Yeah.
okay.
And so, it kind of goes back to
We're losing.
hell has
Right.
hell has a place. Hell has a purpose,
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe instead of it being this whole torturous thing, which is, I think, probably what most of us get, but maybe it's about a different kind of lesson for people that
Right.
are in a different place
Yeah.
than we are. Most of society.
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that point about the unclean because initially I thought you were going to say something about like baptism. like
No.
being washed and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Well, it's
Yeah.
symbolic. I mean,
It
you know.
is.
It is.
No, it is for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, that's just what popped into my mind was purified by
Right,
fire.
yeah.
Unclean spirits
Yeah.
purified by fire.
Well-
if you do that, then maybe those people have to go to hell to be purified to come back.
But do you think
better.
it's a burning place where you're on fire? I mean, physically on fire that you feel burning.
I don't know.
I
I don't
just-
know. I
yeah,
don't think
just
so.
don't- I
I
don't
don't know
think
that
so.
it's. And,
I think a
and we
separation
joke
from
about,
God would be enough.
Well, we
Well, I think
we talk
separation from everything. Like
Yeah.
isolation is probably
Well,
humanity's like worst.
talk
fear.
about-
and it
the-
may just be about perspective. You know what?
I was gonna say man-made. Yeah.
What's
Hey, dark
burn,
times.
Man-made perspective.
Yeah.
That's why I told Cass out about like the greatest book ever. What it's done is it's given society some moral boundaries in
Right.
which to live in.
Yeah.
Is it serving its purpose? Yes, if that's the case.
Right.
Right. Like, and so yeah, it's just a really.
But you know,
interesting thing.
the thing with the Bible that I have a problem. Hey, dark times.
What's up, Dark Times?
You've missed a heck of a show.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Dude.
Yeah, and people are just dropping off right now.
Catch the
It's
replay.
been, it's been fantastic.
But I don't
yeah.
care because this is the reason I started this. But it's who knows? And like I said, I'm not so stupid that I say, oh well, I know the because my sister's a hardcore Christian,
Right.
so she thinks the stuff if I'm investigating ghosts or if I get EVPs, everything's from the devil from her.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
There's dead people don't talk and you get that
Right.
and all sorts of weird stuff. But yeah, so who knows? We won't know.
But dude, do you feel lucky though? That I know, like as it was happening, the last thing you felt was lucky when things were flying off the wall and guitars were playing themselves, right? But like in hindsight,
do I feel lucky?
yeah, that you were able to have that experience.
It proved to me that there's something else
Me too.
after we die.
Me too.
I don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah. No. Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but one of my main philosophers that I love to live by is this guy named G.I. Gearjeff. If you guys ever look at him, but his big thing was you don't know how significant you are until you realize how insignificant you don't know how significant you can be until you realize how insignificant you are.
Yeah.
Right.
And like in that moment, I remember going home and feeling like, oh my God. Like I literally just witnessed that and with people that I really, really, really trust. And I did not believe that I didn't even know that there was a spirit box. I didn't even know what a K2 meter was.
Yeah.
Dude, when I walked through the doorway into your room, I had no idea what I was getting into.
yeah.
And in hindsight though, I'm like, I feel so grateful because I'm like, okay, I got through it. It's scary, yes.
Yeah.
Terrifying of the unknown, of course, right? You don't want to walk into a jungle
It-
like you don't know what's out there.
It makes things more complicated if you think about it. I mean, if you go through life and you just think, okay, there's heaven, there's hell. I'm going to be good. I'm going to accept Jesus into my life, and I don't have these disturbances from
Right.
these spirits. Then my life's simple, right? But now when I pick up voices that are talking to me, some saying nice things, some saying
Yeah.
bad things,
Yeah.
then then you're like, oh shit,
As a cultural,
what's going on after we die?
Culturally, having grown up in my circumstances on the religious side of things, this is what I was telling Cass last night. Did Jesus sacrifice and die on our cross so that we could all live this simple, easy life? I don't think so. Like I don't think monks like sit there and meditate for hours and hours and hours, something that is very difficult to just live an easy life. So that's why I'm grateful to have had that experience, because what it did was it allowed me to open my mind and think, okay, there's something else going on here, and I don't quite know what it is, but I need to explore a lot of other things in order to try to come closer to understanding. Because if I'm not, and I'm sedentary, then I'm not really living that Christian life that I was supposed to live. Right? Like,
Well,
I'm
I
not,
think, yeah, life
does that
is,
make sense? at
right?
all?
I don't
Yeah.
think life isn't easy, and there's that saying about living's hard, dying's easy.
Right.
And because of there are things that are put before us that we have to stop and think. Is this morally right? Is this wrong?
Right.
Money problems. How are you going to handle that? Do you figure it out? So it's a constant learning.
Right.
Every day we're learning something.
Yeah.
And so I think, like I said, I think we have free will in heaven. Maybe possibly that's why God put us here, not to make us like robots up there,
Right.
where we just think one way, But no, I want you to have your personality. And,
Right.
But I don't want you to misbehave up here.
Right.
either.
Yeah, definitely.
So perhaps that's what it is. Maybe that's what we're learning to love. I think love, like I said, love and forgiveness, unconditional love is what we're here to learn. And to, like you said, sacrifice.
That's
sometimes.
my big one, man. That's my big one.
Like-
I feel like too many people aren't willing to sacrifice.
Like when someone doesn't help you move, they would sacrifice whatever they were doing to help that other person out, right?
Hey, I will tell you this though, like, because Cash brought up this point, because we don't go to mass, right? Like, we do from time to time, but it's not like we go like every week like I did when I was growing up. And my Mimi always gets on to me. Mimi is always on my ass. Like, you're going to hell. Like, you're not going to mass. You haven't taken the Eucharist. You know what I'm saying? But what I always tell Mimi and what I told Cass last night is like the work that I do, I'm sacrificing. Like I'm doing what I grew up learning to do. And so that's why sacrifice is like my big pet peeve. Because I'm like even to do this show, dude, I think this is important.
Yeah.
That's why, I'm like driving across. I'm like getting over there early. I want this to be a good show and a good platform.
Did you say early, Pam?
I did. I got here early today.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you did. I'll give it to you.
And so, but no, this stuff's like super important, but I do think it's all about lessons, man. I think that like those voices you picked up on those EVPs, that groaning, that pain, that goes to show you that like what we feel like on the inside, where our spirit is when we die is probably what it's going to be on the other side. So treat people well.
Yeah, treat people. Yeah, be good to everybody. Love everybody. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And so, and then let's talk about this. Is this we're catching some type of residual energy? When you have like hate or something like that, that energy is strong.
Right.
Does it stay here after we die? Does some of the hateful things we say come through on a tape recorder when we do EVPs?
That's a great point.
Is there certain, when we see, of course there are those, I can't remember what that's called, residual hauntings. When you see the lady that every day at 3:00 in the morning, she goes down the stairs.
Yeah.
Is it just it's a capture in time? Her spirit's on.
So that's more like science, universe.
Yeah.
Type stuff. Yeah. Is that why kids, because playfulness is something that we lose as we grow older. That's when we're almost at our most purest form as a child, is when we're playful.
Right.
So is that why we hear the marble drop?
Yeah, maybe so.
You know what I'm saying? Is that why that would be good for you and your fear?
Right, because how do we know that kid's not, he's not stuck, he's just having fun.
No, that's just a residual. That's a residual energy because playfulness is powerful.
Right, and that could be a residual energy.
Right. Yes.
Or perhaps it could be that this kid on the other side, like we always worry about that he's got other kids he's playing with, he just hasn't crossed, and he's having fun. He's playing marbles.
That was a marble, by the way.
That was
a lot of
millennials
and like these kids coming up nowadays probably don't know what the sound of a marble sounds like when it falls on the floor, but we do. I was distinctly a marble. So, but yeah, like I like the idea of the residual aspect of it because fear is a very strong energy.
Yeah.
Almost too strong for us sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, what was the other one? You said love. Right. So some of these EVPs you hear coming through, like, let me out, fearful, right? Marble dropping, playfulness. And so you might be able to categorize these EVPs as different feelings and emotions and make an argument for it being residual, honestly.
Yeah. Was it residual or is it but the thing that kind of blows that out of the water a little bit is when we get intelligent answers. When we ask a question, like how many spirits are here? 3.
Oh, right.
And they answer the question appropriately.
Well, couldn't there be different levels of EVPs just like there are different levels of hauntings?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with like that's what I was saying about the girl that walks down the stairs you catch on video. Sometimes you keep an apparition of someone just walking, and that could be just energy that was left over from, that didn't cross over. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a ghost. And they say a lot, though they call them they're not intelligent ghosts because you can go over to where you saw them walking and try to get EVPs and you're getting nothing.
Right.
Because it's just residual energy that they left behind.
It's not active.
And if you think about it, energy is so, like you said, is so powerful.
Right.
Whether it's love,
it's
hate,
everything.
Love or hate. It's like I got a real good sensor of walking in places and feeling if the energy's good. I think most
you do.
I think most people do, but
you got to be open to it.
I remember when I was about 20 and I walked into this occult shop and it felt like this overwhelming doom.
Right.
And they had a whole lot of kind of satanic things in there. They had, just
Where
weird.
you're like, you turn.
Yeah. It was a store up on Northwest 10th.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. But I bet you could go through and do a haunting in there and catch all sorts of stuff.
Right.
But I had to get out.
Yeah.
I couldn't stay in there for very long, and I walked in. I was in there like 5 minutes. I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Right. Yeah.
And left. But I can, in the houses, I can feel that too.
Yeah.
And if possibly the people that occupied that house, even 100 years ago, if they were hateful people, they argued, they screamed, that energy I think gets left behind. So I do think it's, I do believe in try to cleansing your house. We haven't cleansed this house yet.
Right. We're going to need to do that.
I'm planning to do it, but I know the family that was here. I mean, and I don't know him personally. I'm just saying from what I've heard about the individual, that he was a very lovable guy. He did a lot of stuff for the community.
Right.
They had happy family times here. I talked to the son, and he said, it was a fun house to live in. And so when we first walked in here, and I talked to the realtor about that, it feels very light.
Yeah.
Don't you feel?
It does.
Agree?
It feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good in here. I don't feel.
Well, we talked about that in here.
Still, even in my old house.
Yeah.
It's even though it feels better when I had it cleansed, it's still there's this thickness of something I can't describe it, and I want to bound whatever's there, stay,
contain it,
but I don't want it to harm another family that may move in either.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly how to do that because I don't want this thing because I've been followed my whole life.
Right.
Everywhere I went, I had the crazy things happen. But like I said, when I got, when Kathy came over, blessed the house, did a lot of things, it pretty much stopped. But I still, I don't know. Do you still feel when you walk into the house? Do you still kind of? I know you don't not as sensitive as I am, and I walk in sometimes, even when I go there today. Like when we're still cleaning this house out, it doesn't feel hateful, but it's like I still feel something.
For me, I think I don't know. I just kind of get hippy dippy for a little bit. You're a water sign, and water signs pick up. They're sensitive. They pick up that kind of stuff.
I'm a Cancer.
So for me, it's not so much about just the feel when you walk in. For me, I'm a very tactile, kinetic, visual person, and it's just the layout of the whole house. You know how there's no
dark.
Windows.
Right.
Yeah,
in the house,
the living room.
know?
Yeah, the living room. Let's see, it faced south, right? So
more or less.
So when you got the sun going east to west in our living room, we had this big window, but even when you opened it, it still wasn't
covered too.
Yeah, and there wasn't a whole lot of light. It was like, and even our master bedroom, it was pitch dark.
Yeah.
All the time. I mean, and I'll say this room is the same way. I mean, you can sleep till 3 in the afternoon and not know if it's light time because we
I
have.
would love to sleep till 3.
Yeah.
Hey, can I throw one more little
Do we want to
curveball?
play the rest of these EVPs?
Can I throw one more curveball at you really fast?
Yes.
Parallel universe. So I was thinking about you the other day.
What about it?
Whenever you used to get hit in the head with a pick.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. That was your existing pick. Because I was thinking, what if it was a pick just flying through and crossing over into this dimension?
Yeah, if it was an old real tortoiseshell pick, like from the 50s,
so,
then yeah.
But with EVPs and that kind of thing, could it be just another, tapping into another dimension or?
Yes, that's another possibility. There was an episode on ghost hunters, and this was creepy. There was a very wealthy lady who lived in this apartment, very expensive hotel or whatever, and she stayed there. I think her name was Minnie or something like that. And the guys walk in, they go, "Minnie, are you here?" And she goes, "Well, of course I am." She goes, "Where are you guys?" So that freaked me out because it's like maybe she's
catching them. Oh my god!
That they just captured. They just went through.
And she had a paranormal experience in her dimension.
So in her dimension, she had a paranormal experience. She was hearing their voices, but she goes, "Of course I'm here." She goes, "But where are you guys? I can't see you." Oh, and so that's was
far out.
So that's almost like,
that's cool.
What if we did come back and we lived the same life in the same time period, but we had lessons to or improve our lives.
Absolutely.
Something like that. And
what if it's you throwing a pick at yourself?
Maybe.
Dumbass. Stop picking that. Picking grinning.
You played that chord wrong.
It's Dumas.
Yeah, Dumas. Okay,
But so that was
yeah.
something that kind of freaked me out a little bit. 'Cause
That
it's
is
like,
creepy.
wow, it's almost like that they bumped into another universe where Minnie was still alive. She was going through the
Right.
same thing. And she had experienced a paranormal thing too, because she heard these voices and she couldn't see anybody.
And it's
Now, that's the first time I've ever heard of anybody doing a ghost haunt where they did not, usually they responded, they're seeing the ghost people,
Right.
the investigators, but this was a point where she was not seeing them and she was letting them know that.
Well, let's talk about energy really fast, positive and negative charges.
Okay.
Like, what if the reason why we can't experience that dimension is because of, like, we're not actively seeking it? So in that scenario, what if she was hunting and they were hunting? It wouldn't work. But she was being receptive, so essentially they're seeking a paranormal experience, and in turn, she just happens to be in that dimension, so therefore she gets a paranormal experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What if it's all paranormal? I mean, what if what if every voice we're getting, they're like in another universe
Right.
going,
What the hell?
What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
that is-
and they are answering questions.
That is intriguing. That is
So
crazy.
It
Yeah.
is strange.
Okay.
Because if you think about it too, that they always ask, "What's it like on the other side?" Well, they never get an answer. Never.
Right.
They don't say, "Oh, it's beautiful, it's wonderful."
Right,
It's just they stop talking.
Right.
So who knows? That's just odd.
That's a great little angle. I like it. This has been a fascinating conversation,
It has been.
and you read a lot of notes. You
Yeah.
notice that? No notes tonight.
No notes. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I
please,
mean, we can, like I said, I can talk about this. I can comfortably talk about because I've done so much research.
well, it's just so fascinating.
It's easier for me than the true crime stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I have a fascination with that, but when I go back, I have to really do a lot of research into suspects and
of
what
course,
happened, and not that I still do my research every day.
Well, I think the core.
doing a show.
I think what's crazy about these conversations though is that, like, at the core of it is that we've had the experience,
Yeah,
and I don't care what anybody says. I
Right.
had the damn experience,
Right.
And so we're able to kind of like have that connection, and it's just so interesting. Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to Larry, by the way.
is Larry there?
Larry, he said Siamese for some reason.
That's our man, Larry.
yeah, it's Larry Bear.
Siamese.
Hit machine.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
I think it's
Code Talk.
samesies.
Oh, samesies. Oh, he had the experience with us. That's why.
Oh yeah.
Larry
Yeah,
Bear,
Larry.
man, and he's a critic. Hey,
Yeah, Larry
Church
was.
of Christ, like for no instruments,
Larry was in. He was around when I had all my weird experiences
Yes, he
that
was.
I introduced to the deal.
My best friend.
Are we going to do this contest, or are we going to wait till next
Yeah, did
week?
you want to play the other EVPs real fast?
Yeah.
Okay, play the other EVPs. Let's see if we can guess what it says.
Okay.
Hi.
So anyway, these are. If you guys remember, I had a guest on
Bye, Mel.
talking about Delphi. Matt Sullivan. He also had some experience doing his own ghost hunting before he got into the whole Delphi thing. So I'm going to play one of his. It says, "Come on and get me." So let's see what we got here. Okay, wait. That's the wrong one.
Corey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Okay, this one is, I'll have to tell you what it's saying. I mean, I know I probably shouldn't, but it's Murdoch. It's saying Murdachi, and that is the name of a Babylon god named, would it be Marduk or Murdoch? It's
Murdoch.
Murdoch, yeah. And this was over 5,000 years ago, this when they worshiped this thing. So if you listen real close, you hear him saying Mardochi? Murdachi. Listen in.
Are you in our presence?
Now, I couldn't hear, actually, I'll be honest with you, I didn't hear Mardochi in
Right,
that.
me either.
I heard something whispering, but I don't know exactly what that was. Okay, so the next one is "Come and Get Me." So, or "Come on and get me."
Come on, get me.
Let's see if we can. Come on, get me.
I'm gonna be such an.
play that again. Now watch, it's probably doing the whole static thing because the longer we have OBS up, that's when usually you start having problems. So we'll try it again. So hopefully it's not stuttering for you guys.
Come on and try and get me.
Yeah, it sounds like a little kid.
It does.
Again, those creep me
playing.
out.
Come on and try and get me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's mine. Come on and try and get me.
Yeah, exactly. So he's playing, right? Okay, this next one is another Matt Sullivan one, and it says, this one's pretty clear. This is a Class A, I would call it, because it says, please come and help me. And so we'll play that, see if we can hear that.
Hey, shit, Richard. I admit you told I itched up. Are you with us right now?
Could you please come my phone, please?
That was pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
I should have edit. Let me just play that again.
Are you with us right now?
Could you please come my phone, please?
Okay, so those are the ones that break my heart. Because then that makes you think that there are spirits that are stuck on the other side.
Right.
And I hate to think that. All right, so we got one more. And this is in a mental hospital. They're actually in a padded room. And you just basically hear a man screaming.
Hey, shit, Richard. I admit you told I itched up. Are you with us right now?
Could you please come my phone, please?
Sorry.
Didn't we just hear that?
A pig just flies over and hits him in
Yeah,
the
I know, right?
head.
This was recorded in a former padded room at the asylum.
Yeah, some of it. They used to have pads and stuff in there.
So that one was pretty good.
Dude, do that one again.
All right. Now it's
Yeah, some of it. They used to have pads and stuff in there.
Now, as
No,
loud as
I'm
that
good.
one was, it's like you think they would have heard that, but again,
I
that's,
know, yeah.
it's-
Well, that's what makes it more creepy is they didn't hear
Here it
it.
comes again.
Yeah, some of it. They used to have pads and
Yeah, so that one,
That's what makes it more creepy is that they didn't hear it.
yeah,
They
and
just
that's what's,
continue, "Yeah, there used
that's
to be
what's
a
weird
pattern."
because it's screaming,
Yeah.
and it just shows that I guess they need a
That
whole,
could be residual, though.
yeah,
somebody locked
yeah,
in there.
with some negative energy, absolutely,
for
it
sure.
could be. So we're at the end of all the EVPs. Like I said, it was really kind of hard to find good, clear EVPs
Right.
that you can understand.
Well, what's cool is that you had some from your own house.
Right.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was in. It scares me thinking about doing this ghost hunt.
We'll talk about it.
But we'll talk about it. We'll do it. We'll
Yeah.
do it. But like I said, I think everybody would like it, and
Yeah.
We'll just say our prayers, and we'll be careful.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about it maybe this next week and try to come up with a date.
For sure.
That'll be good to do it.
100%.
I don't know if we should do this contest just
No,
yet.
let's just wait. Let's hold off.
Yeah.
We got time.
Okay. We're going to give, I think we talked, because there's some people that just dropped off. I think what we need to do is next show is do it at the beginning, or like maybe 30 minutes into it where we have a peak of people watching. Cause right now we've got a lot of people dropped off and so yeah, we have, we're going to give away a free reading from the military medium.
He's awesome.
And he is awesome. We've all used him. He's very legit. He came up with people that there's no way he could have Googled them and found them. That were people that were part of Garrett's life, my life. So if you're interested in wanting a free reading, we're going to give away one. I think what we're going to do is we have a dartboard, and anybody who says, yes, I want a free reading, you're going to give us a number. Garrett is going to throw a dart, and whatever number it hits will be the winner of the contest. So yeah. So that'll be fun. But any closing thoughts?
I just think that was a really, really, really good show.
Yeah,
Keith,
it was.
Pam, well done.
Well
Great
done.
conversation.
It was.
It's fantastic.
It was a fun
Can't
show.
wait to see some comments on it.
And even though we couldn't get this crazy thing,
Bigfoot got it.
yeah.
Hey, real quick, dude, Sasquatch on Hulu.
What?
Sasquatch on Hulu. Watch it. I swear on everything. James Anderson mentioned it, I believe. And then my brother was like, dude, you got to watch it. Guys, go watch Sasquatch on Hulu. That's for everybody to listen to. Have you seen it?
I
Okay.
haven't.
Okay.
Hey, Mona, I'm just wondering, are you still here?
Yes.
We got a 15-second delay here, so I'll give her a little bit of time. I don't know if she's had enough of us or not, but we'll see. But anyway, so we haven't decided next week's show yet.
We're going to.
Yeah, well, in fact, can you stay for a few minutes after the show?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, and we'll talk about it because I've got a couple ideas that we could do. That would be good.
All right.
So, all right.
Hey, good show, seriously.
That was a good show. It was a good show.
Thank you.
So
We love you guys.
we will.
There I am.
Hey, yeah, everybody.
Garrett?
Here's a picture of Garrett. I caught him out in the backyard, and
where's the pool?
that's a picture of me getting sucked up in a UFO.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, remember, if you want one of those Panasonic, it's called a DR60. It's only $2,999, and some of them $20. Actually, that's pretty cheap for what I've seen them go for.
And those people are burning in hell.
And those people are burning in hell.
And good luck, because he's inviting a bunch of crap in. Awesome.
Absolutely. All right, so guys, good night, and we'll see you next week.